Hi all, today I'm going to take a look at a couple of Mardave's early stock cars. So we've got a refurbished one right there, and then this one which I've picked up a little bit more recently. Nothing has been done to this one yet. I'll start with this one. This is a really early car. So this is an original 1973 release with the very early style box as well. These very early cars, they are quite rare, and in a moment I'll quickly go over the differences between the very early and then the slightly later model here. These I believe were released around 75, 76, and you really feel the sense of a different era of car building with these compared to the later cars that I've looked at in some of the videos. Almost entirely made of metal parts on the chassis there, and I'll show you in a moment, but you have a number of parts in there as well which will never be the same on any two cars, because you were actually supplied the raw materials with then instructions on what to do with those yourself, and I'll show you a couple of examples of that. One is the front arms, so you've got the instructions there on how to cut and fold that, and then that's the front arms there, so they would have been originally made by the owner. You've got a similar instruction on drilling and cutting the engine mount, and so you could suit that to different engines of the day, but again some are going to be finished to a really nice standard, some not so. And then the bumper bars as well on there. As I read it, you were supplied with a rod which you could bend yourself and then either weld it or even put a thread on it. I don't know if that changed on the later cars, because the later cars that I've seen do always seem to look like they've got threaded ends. So I think the bending and welding may have been a very early feature. And then I'll take the bodies off the both of them, and we'll just compare the chassis and the chassis. I'll go through them quickly and just show you the differences between the two. So starting at the very front, welded bumper bar versus threaded there. The wheels, the really early cars, they came with grey wheels, and then around the mid-70s the white wheels came into use. The side bars, so on the very early cars you've got the tube as used on the chassis used for your side bumper bars, and then on the slightly later cars it was a thinner bumper bar used there. I think everything else is pretty much the same. These are the original fuel tanks that Mardave used on all of their cars, and that goes right back to their very first car, the Matra, using those tanks, which I think got phased out in the later 70s for a slightly larger one, which you'll see in a lot of their cars. The radio box, sadly missing in the very early car there, and as this one was in nice condition in this car, I used up the leftover paint and just made it look slightly special, being that it was a collection car and not a runner. So that is the stock car. I will probably come back to this one again in the future once I've actually cleaned it up. I'm still trying to find out though what colours might have been used on that body. If anybody out there knows what that original car came as, I would love to hear, because that's how I'd like to paint it. My gut feeling is red and grey, but I could very likely be wrong there. So that's the original Mardo stock car for you. I'll come back with some more cars soon.